So basically, the first black man, he was appointed due to vacancy, but then he also won re-election by 62%. But this is in Roslyn, and people might not know that Roslyn at one time had a real big, well, at that time, black population, as coal mining town, and a lot of black miners have been brought up in 1888, 1889 as strike breakers. But basically, this guy, William Craven, was so loved in the city that when the mayor position was vacated, the city council appointed him mayor, and then he ran again there as well. And he said he wasn't overly concerned about the historic significance of his appointment way back when. Some people will like me, some people won't, he said. I didn't run for this job as a black man, but as a man. I wanted an equal chance to try. If I can do it, the people will vote me in.
There we go.
So Roslyn, the city of Roslyn, Washington, and actually the Black Heritage Society of Washington State, they're putting some stuff together talking about the history of Roslyn and the black population that was there in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Wow. I mean, that was really such a time when so many freed black folks were creating their own town. So shout out to Roslyn for recognizing the leadership and appointing him as mayor. And I love what he said there, that, at that time, it was really just about them really being able to be stewards of the people, all the people, not just black folks. So it's a great job, Roslyn.
All right. So bringing the headlines back here to Seattle and back here to today. News yesterday, Seattle School Board selects former administrator to serve as interim superintendent. On Wednesday, the school board selected Brent Jones, a former district administrator and graduate of Franklin High School, to serve as superintendent for 1 year as the board conducts a broader search for a permanent replacement. So Brent Jones, Quaker, the Quakers are in the house. You know what I'm saying? You got a Franklin Quaker down there. This is a good paying job too. Base salary, $315,000. Brent, where you at? You got the bag, man. But we see that of course Superintendent Juneau said that she wasn't going to try to get her contract renewed. There wasn't a lot of support for Superintendent Juneau as far as a renewal, and Brent Jones is going to step in there and be the interim superintendent.
And there we go. Anytime that we have a change in leadership like this, it allows us to get to learn more about that new leader. So shout out to you, Brent. Eyes are going to be watching because our babies are precious. We talk about the declines and the disparities in education all the time. So we're really ushering you in and giving you all the love right now, because I know that's a tough job. Oh, they got to pay them good money, man. Pay the fee, man. It's a tough job.
Well, let's be clear. Seattle Public Schools, that's $1 billion school district. $1 billion. So yeah, I'm sure they got the $315,000 to pay him. That's $1 billion school district. And that's a whole nother show, a whole nother show to talk about. But yeah, they definitely have a budget out there. But we wish Brent all the luck. You know what I'm saying? We wish our Quaker brother all the luck. He's gonna need it. It's a Seattle Public Schools. Nobody's been able to figure it out after all these years. So hopefully he'll be able to come in there and the idea of interim is to be able to manage the situation until they find a permanent replacement. You never know, he might put his name in the hat. Mm-hmm. So we shall see. Next up here, court blocks release of records about Seattle officer who attended Trump rally on the day of the Capitol siege. And so a King County Court commissioner granted an emergency order on Wednesday, temporarily blocking the city from disclosing records that would have identified 6 Seattle police officers who attended a pro-Trump rally in Washington, D.C. last month that led to a deadly siege on the U.S. Capitol. This article here is by Lewis Camp. It's in the Seattle Times. Had officers not obtained the order by 5 p.m. Thursday, Assistant City Attorney Carolyn Boyes said the city was prepared to release the records on Friday to 4 individuals, including a Como reporter who had separately requested the records under the state's Public Records Act. So they filed a temporary injunction. Those are usually good for like 2 weeks. I think that's what it says here. And So no records out until they go back to court and see if the judge at that time will release the names. And there was somebody, I think it was a student at Seattle U or somebody else who was named in this, who put in a public records request as well.
Well, people really are wanting to know. I know that there's a lot of groups out there that are really, urging for more and more police accountability. And ultimately, this is probably a bit of a blow. I mean, I think people do want to understand who they are. The article also specifies that, hey, they felt that these officers would receive, undue necessary harassment and things like that if their names were brought out to the public. But I think that, again, the public is saying, hey, they went there, they utilized their freedom of speech. It's worth us knowing who actually went out there to support this steal the vote or stop the vote or whatever it was in terms of support, because of the enormity of the actions that transpired afterwards. Oh, it's not just about them utilizing their freedom of speech. It's about what we saw that day take place in January. And that's what people are really, why people really want to know these names.
Right. Well, for now, the names are not coming out. The temporary injunction was successful, and this will go back to court in a few weeks, and a judge will rule at that time whether the names will be released. Clearly, the city, they were ready to release them, release the names. A few side notes here. I was reading the comments. Someone called you a style maven.
Thank you. You know what? I just got to say that there are so many amazing vendors and Black people that have amazing wares. And that's what you guys see on this show every week for me is really a combination of their brilliance. So I just got to say thanks.
Right. And then also somebody said, Omari's getting ready for baseball season. I'm always ready for baseball season. But especially now, you know what? This was number one on here, and I skipped over it because it's not in the computer. Is the Zoom Doom last night? Okay, who in the comments watched the African American Advisory Commission? Did you see this last night?
I heard all about it, man.
My friend, yeah. We didn't carry the whole thing. We carried like the last 40 minutes. We had the coronavirus update show going. And when we tuned in, so I can only talk about for what we tuned in. I didn't see the first part. I don't know. I'm assuming that the whole Zoom is recorded and is posted somewhere. But yeah, it was apparently it was going down. And when I got there, they just stopped calling on people. They stopped apparently early on in the session. They were actually taking questions through the Zoom. Then they stopped taking questions. I believe that they muted Jaden Grayson, who was here. But when I got on there, it was Jaden with her hand up the whole time for like 40 minutes. It was question. I mean, it was funky. I'll be honest with you. Mike Solon was the guest or the speaker, and so it attracted a lot of attention. And people were on there. They wanted to see what was up, but man, it didn't. I don't think that it turned out the way that anybody intended. And I'm gonna see the whole thing. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop talking about it. We're gonna see if we can retrieve the whole thing. We'll see if we can pull out some highlights.
Well, I think you know what, when we talk about people coming on board, these are open, public meetings, and ultimately, folks were like, "Look, we have some real questions for Mike Solon." I think there was a lot of people who, again, utilizing their rights to be heard and to be, a part of, these proceedings, basically, or this meeting with him being a guest. That's what sparked a lot of folks wanting to get on there and wanting to say what they have to say. And ultimately, we always talk here about folks actually taking their stake back in this country, and we're starting to see more and more of that. In a wide variety of ways.
Also, what we're also seeing as well, though, is a lot of these meetings have been taking place for years, and there hasn't been a lot of engagement by community. And I mean, one thing for sure is, especially since May to now, we see that a lot of people are showing up for these meetings where it might have been minimal attendance at all. There might not have been a lot of diversity of thought or opinion. And one thing for sure is we saw a diversity of opinion and diversity of thought last night. it'd be interesting how this, how it moves forward, especially with the African American Advisory Commission.
Yeah.
I think that now people have attended these meetings. I think that you could probably expect more and more different members of community to be on there, and you probably have a wider spectrum of thoughts and ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The Zoom dude, man.
Interesting.
All right. What else we got out here? Oh, so this is some news out of the court as well. King County judge rules in favor of city on tenant protection ordinance. This is from SCCinsight.com. The wordy and nerdy Kevin Schofield, although this article isn't too long, it's pretty straightforward. Basically, what the judge said is that everything can stay as is. So all these protections, I think that it's 6 months after the emergency ends. They have to be able to work out a payment plan. No winter evictions. One thing that the judge did find, though, is that the landlords can charge interest because that's state law. But what Kevin Schofield, I was chatting with him here this morning. He said that we could expect this to get appealed. Of course, that it's going to get appealed. But as for now, the court has ruled in favor of the city.
Well, I think that the thing that we're really learning here, COVID is bringing to light a lot of different laws, legislation, and policies that really are somewhat restrictive. I mean, something like being able to charge interest and that being part of state law when you have people that are really suffering, that aren't receiving paychecks, that are no longer receiving unemployment. You have a wide variety of reasons why people are not able to pay their rent. And I think that it actually spotlights some areas where we can have some difference of and changes in policy and legislation. And it's actually, as stark of a time it is, it's also exciting that these policies are being brought to light so people understand them.
Well, what I'm saying, though, is there's the interest that is part of the state law. But I mean, on the flip side of it, if you live in the city of Seattle, all these other things have been upheld. You've got, 6 months, no winter eviction, payment plan. So, I mean, you don't win them all. Sometimes you do, but the bulk of this, the majority of this was upheld.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. I just was pointing out that when we go through these processes, COVID is really highlighting a lot of things that maybe many of us did not know, right? And so that's what I mean in that regard. And I think that it's great that they were able to uphold much of that. I know that there are many tenant unions right now, a lot of folks that are working together to try to figure out how to get people out of this situation, because when it gets opened, man, I don't know that there's enough forces to try to evict all the thousands of people who have not been able to pay their rent. This is something that's hitting so many different people in so many different ways.
This is true. So for some people in Seattle, this was good news. And for some people, they kind of like the swag. They like the title around it. Biden officially undoes Trump's designation of Seattle as an anarchist jurisdiction. This is by David Gutman over at the Seattle Times. And depending upon who you talk to, especially up at Capitol Hill, people kind of wear that with pride. Welcome to the anarchist jurisdiction. Clearly not good for tourism, though. But Biden went and stroke of a pen yesterday. Seattle is no longer an anarchist jurisdiction.
Well, it's funny that we talk about this in terms of, hey, good for some, not so good for others. I know probably people in the comments are going crazy, but I think that, for me personally, this was just a sign of recognizing that the voices of the collective people were not centered in anarchy. And I think that that's kind of a good thing ultimately, because there was a lot of people that were out there just trying to utilize their voice to talk about real change, sustainable change, and bringing about equity, particularly for Black folks after, George Floyd's death. So I don't know. You're right. It may be a little bit on the spectrum here.
Yeah. All right. So got a clip right here. I talked to Lily Fowler, journalist with crosscut.com. Recent article that Lily wrote. It was pretty insightful about some of the challenges that are out there in getting the vaccine into BIPOC community. So here's his clip.
People still feel like the state could have done a lot more to make the rollout more deliberate and target people who are especially vulnerable to COVID. We all know, this has been reported for a while now, that Latino communities, Black communities have been especially hard hit by the pandemic. And so I talked to a lot of folks about, limited internet access getting in the way, language being a barrier, right? If you go to Face Finder, the state's place where you go and you try to find out who has appointments available to get the vaccine, there's parts of it that you can get translated, right? You click on a button and you can get the Spanish version, but then there are other parts that aren't, and it's just in English. So that's been a barrier as well. The Face Finder itself, instead of having a central place for people to go, it'll give you hundreds of different of places, hospitals, doctors, community health centers, pharmacies where a vaccine might be available. And then you have to go to that specific place to see if, and their own online system to see if a vaccine is available. So it's really convoluted. And I had people tell me that, hey, I'm, 40-something-year-old, like tech savvy individual, and I have trouble. So imagine a 75-year-old with limited English skills navigating this, that they're, it's going to be tough for them. And people are actually telling me that they're just relying on networks, who they know, going to Facebook. It's kind of a free for all as far as trying to find an appointment.
A free for all. And what Lily kind of hit on there is she said that, man, the state had so much time to be able to put together a great system. And that's a big point of where things are falling down. But also in the full interview, which will be up here later on today, she talked about areas where people are succeeding, where community groups and community organizations, community health centers are kind of partnering or getting the vaccine shipped directly to them. But yeah, if it's difficult for somebody who say works at Microsoft and computers all day, imagine it's difficult for somebody who's not really computer literate. Or, before they weren't even like if you use the phone, you really couldn't get through. The phones was crashing, or if you have limited English skills or some everything else. But real insightful article there at crosscut.com. And I appreciate Lily Fowler for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is really the part that we're seeing right now where, folks are really gathering with community-led organizations, folks that are on the ground, that are connected to these marginalized communities, as they like to call them. But really, it means connected to folks from the global majority, because those have been the ones that have been disparately impacted by COVID. And also, the vaccines have not been hitting the community in the ways that, you would think that they would, when we already saw so much data out there saying that, hey, it was, communities of the global majority that have been majorly impacted. So shout out to those groups that are connecting with folks on the ground and getting this stuff done.
Right. I know just right here in Seattle, Central Area Senior Center, as well as a lot of the Black churches that come together and partnered with the Seattle Fire Department for a pop-up. I think that was last week. Speaking of the Central District, some people impacted there. Underground fires and evacuations after Central District gas leak. This is the Capitol Hill Seattle blog, Justin Carter. And yeah, man, MLK and Cherry, there was a gas leak. It was burning underground. It was wild, man. Part of the asphalt melted. And a lot of people in the Central District lost power. I think that was probably as a precaution, even over there in Liberty Bank building, all throughout Union, everywhere else. But I guess all's well that ends well. Hopefully all's well that ends well. They said they put out the fire, of course, and found the leak. But Kind of crazy situation there for a while yesterday.
Yeah, it really was. My phone was blowing up. I mean, as this was going on, it's like people were sending so many messages. Hey, this is what's going on. It was like up to date, minute by minute kind of coverage with folks that are out there on the ground. And again, it just is another, for me yesterday, it was another indicator of how our community comes together, because people were looking out for the elders, their neighbors. I mean, people were like, look, let me make sure everybody's okay. Folks were checking in on their, their loved ones at Liberty Bank building, at other apartment complexes. And so just shout out to that resilience that we have in community. That's what I felt yesterday.
All right. Well, it's a crisis creates an opportunity. It's an opportunity for community. All right. We got one more here. This is from the South Seattle Emerald. Our partners at the South Seattle Emerald Academy for Creating Excellence supports young Black men and Black teachers. So this is talking about ACE, the Academy for Creating Excellence. In August 2020, ACE received a grant from the City of Seattle as part of the initiative of investment in youth mentorship and diversity programs by partnering with DEAL, that's the Department of Early Education Learning, Director Chappelle, who we've had on here plenty of times. And they've been able to expand their reach beyond students and begun working with Black educators as well. These events were created to provide a safe space for Black educators, providing a virtual place where they can discuss issues that their Black students face and also their experiences working in a predominantly white field. Currently, Black people make up 0.7% of teachers in the state of Washington, in sharp contrast to the fact that 4.3% of students in the state are Black. This is good news coming from ACE.
Yeah, absolutely. Great work from ACE. And I think too that, it's another indicator that when you're connected, you can bring culturally relevant education and programming to the students that need them and to the communities that need them. So shout out to you guys, because I think that there's clearly not enough of this kind of education, this style of ensuring that there's mentors connecting with young folks. It's a beautiful thing.
All right. We're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, we got Julia Jesse. Jules is in the building talking about clapback culture. That's tonight at 7:00. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with Julia Jesse. You're watching the Morning Update Show. Look who's in the building. Julia Jesse, what's happening, man?
Hi, Omari. What's up? I'm glad to be here, y'all.
Well, that's good. But I think we got a wide shot over here, too. You see Trey? Can you solo in on Trey?
Trey, I saw the ensemble, honey. I saw the little twist and turn, honey. You look good, and I need one of those.
There we go. I got you, sis. You already know.
Well,
Positive vibes. I got you. Yeah, it is. Can you believe that?
Yes.
She peeped it. She already knew. She's all the way in DC and she peeped that. That's my sis right there.
Listen.
Oh yeah. I'll just be honest with you. These Black women is talking. Julia's getting ready to tell us about what's going on. Clap back. You're gonna kick me out anyway. So okay.
Let's hear it, Jules. I'm excited. What is going on tonight at 7:00?
Girl, we have a show for the people tonight. We got to talk a little bit about the drama that the Supreme Court said Donald Trump will go ahead and show them tax returns. So we want to see those receipts and we want to dive a little bit deep into that. So a little bit about clapback. We always go over the headlines. And then we get into some tough stories. So I'm going to share a little bit about what's going on with me personally. I got that COVID vaccine. So I want to be able to share with the audience what my experience has been like getting that first dose. Because like you guys mentioned so far on the show, like getting that rollout to people that live in disproportionately affected neighborhoods is super important, which I live in. And so we want to talk about that. Killer Mike, his barbershop got shot up, and he used the opportunity to really talk about gun violence and public safety. So we want to talk about a little bit of that. So we got a lot going on. I mean, Ted Cruz what's going on with him and not, deciding to go to Cancun to drop off his kids. So last time I checked, his wife was old enough to drop the kids off to their vacation. So we're going to clap back at a lot of this drama, a lot of this team tea that's going on right now. Make sure you pull up tonight at 7 p.m.
Absolutely, man. You guys, I just got to say, man, shout out to you and Mike Davis, man. You guys been holding it down, making sure our audience is aware of all of these situations. And the way you guys bring your authentic perspectives into play is just seamless, my friend. It really is. So kudos to you. It sounds like there is a lot going on. And I think people are going to definitely want to be tuning in tonight at 7 p.m.
Please. The more the merrier. The best thing about the show is we like to have it conversational, Trey. There's a lot of people that don't agree with our views, especially the views of Mike Davis. He's that quintessential Black man, and he's very opinionated and has a lot to say. So we love when the fans come in and they have these conversations with us and talk about what is going on and how they feel about it, because it helps us bring up new topics.
One thing I was going to say about clapback culture that's really dope is it really is a diverse group of viewers there, all across the political spectrum. And the good thing about clapback is like everybody's comfortable in their skin. So you get people from the very far right who man, they love this show. They're there every week, all to the far left and everything else. I think that's probably a testament to the host, though, to Mike and Julia, because they're very opinionated, but they're also very open, for all kinds of different ideas and thoughts on topics. Man, what's up with Mike Davis anyway?
I don't know. I'm like, come on, Mike. He was supposed to pull up to the show. Listen, we're balancing several hats and we're juggling everything. That's how it is when you're an entrepreneur. But he will be here at 7 o'clock. I'll tell you that.
Right. I know that much. Julia, Jesse, look, we put the links in the comments, so we encourage our viewers. You can find the link there for Facebook and YouTube. Go ahead and set a reminder for 7 o'clock tonight. Clapback culture. Julia, we'll see you then.
I'll be there. Bye, you guys.
All right. There's Julia Jesse.
Man, looking gorgeous too. I mean, I know she's been on that workout game. You know what I mean? She looking good. You know what I'm saying? Get it, Jules.
Look at get it, Jules. That's what's up. Man, we're only halfway through the show. The other half here, we've got Marcus Harden, just checked into the green room. We're going to talk to him about Black History Today. And then also we've got a clip that David Obelts from Malcontent News sent over about the GYM program, the mentoring program out there in Kent. And we're going to talk about that. Then I'm going to put everybody in the time machine. And we're going to be talking about Sam Cooke. I love him. All right. The morning show continues right after this break.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us. Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing this venue.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury, joined by the ever amazing Trey Holiday. And back there in the green room, we have writer Marcus Harden. Oh yeah, please bring Marcus onto the screen. There he is. Good morning.
Hey, how y'all doing? Trey, what's good?
What up? I love you so much. Big O don't even know we got all the history in the world.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch.
Well, okay then. All right. Marcus, we brought you in here. You've been writing these great articles the whole month of February, highlighting Black History Today, people who are making Black History Today. And man, but before we jump into, actually let's start there. And then also I have the feature that you did on Council Member Zahalai. But why don't you tell us, man, why did you embark on this journey here of documenting Black History Today in the Seattle area?
Well, man, well, first of all, thank you all for having me. Second of all, like Trey said, we go way back. And so, I'm a Seattle native. I call myself the unofficial mayor of Skyway, but spent a lot of my time growing up and teaching as a counselor at Madrona K-8 and working in Seattle public schools. And there came a point where I just got, I'm gonna be honest, I just got tired of us bringing in these national experts and all these other people when there's so many dope people in our community, specifically Seattle. While I don't dwell there full time anymore, there's so many dope folks that don't get focused. I'm not saying this because Trey is there, but her mom is a community stalwart, right? That just doesn't get spoken up enough. The work that y'all is doing, and so I just was tired of seeing all these other folks getting love, and I was like, man, give people their flowers now, because we do these sermons on folks when they're gone, but let them hear it now. Tell me the good stuff about me now. Don't wait till you put me in the box. So that's kind of what motivated it.
Trey, please tell him something good about him right now.
You know what? First off, I just got to say, I know you. I mean, know you. And you brought your authentic self every day into the public school system environment. And there are so many young students out there that are better for it. So just thank you so much, Marcus, for everything that you've done. And thank you for uplifting someone like my mom, not just because she's my mom, like you said, but again, these hidden heroes that so many people do not know about. I'm so honored and thrilled that your series centered on them. Thank you for your good work, brother.
Man, hidden heroes. That might be the next one. All right. So I saw this here on the Emerald. I'll put it up here. Black History Today. Gurmai Zahalai, a dream manifested. So tell us, what did you learn about Council Member Zahalai and how he's making Black History today?
Well, I think like Trey said, I think, not to get too deep, but I like my heroes real, right? So I'm more fascinated about Clark Kent than I ever am about Superman. Superman's pretty easy, right? And so for me, I met Gurmai through another close friend of ours who, his cousin, but who I went to school with, Lul, who I featured last year, I believe, who's another dope brother. And Lul always said, you got to be my cousin. You got to be my cousin. And we randomly connected at a coffee shop down in Columbia City. I don't know why I just went blank on it, but at a coffee shop in Columbia City, and really just I just felt his heart. When we started talking about his nonprofit at the time before he was running for young people, my nonprofit, I'll publicly drop it, ACE, in Seattle there. And so just his heart, and what I've appreciated, as Trey said, as a person working with young people, we have so many people from the diaspora, from continental Africa, who have been galvanized and have a voice because of him. But what I love about him is he also doesn't forget his roots of being raised as a Black man in this society. And so it was an easy choice, honestly, not to get too deep into my process, but I picked these folks months in advance, and I started writing this, usually in January. So most of them are done pretty early. And so he was one that was easy to get done early. So I just love what he's doing for Skyway and for the Southeast, and how he was so respectful of Representative Gossett. He didn't put his torch out to light his, right? And so I think that's one thing that we have to do as Black folks, is continue to uplift our elders as well.
Yeah, well, they had something in common as well. Councilmember Zahalai went to Franklin High School.
And we talk about making mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes.
No, but one thing I will say, Councilmember Zahalai, is that even before he took office, whenever we called him, he came. And here at the Morning Update show, he was one of our very first guests. But when the governor shut the state down, and our community needed information, and we called Councilmember Zahalai, and he was on it. He was like, man, anything I can do to get the news and information out. He's been a guest here several times. So it's a great read that you can find there on the South of Seattle Emerald.com. Before we let you go, Marcus, tell us which one of these spotlights maybe took you by surprise, or you learned something totally new that you didn't have any idea of?
Man, that's a great question, brother Omari. Man, that's good. I would say I learned about me, right? So like these are really love letters to folks that I know. There hasn't been a person that I haven't encountered in these. And I guess it's gonna sound cliche, but it's actually one that's probably gonna come out today. But it's actually on brother Gary Ladd II. I'm gonna drop it before it actually gets dropped. Only because it's the last one I wrote, yes. But like I realized how connected he was to my childhood. He's not that much older, but his impact and how I watched him. He was a big kid, it felt like to me when I was coming up. But now that we're men and we're peers, how I watch him interact in community and serve selflessly, I realized how much that stuck with me since I was a fourth grader, fifth grader, like spending the night at his house with his little brother. And I was searching for a father figure, and his dad was kind of in that stead as well. So sometimes writing those, as I minister to others, I minister to myself type deal. So I would say that one.
Oh, you got us. Okay. I think that you again, I mean, Gary Ladd, man, somebody who has been so phenomenal in the community. And I want to go back to some of the things that you said about Councilmember Zahalai, because I have been saying it from the gate that, he really is showing us how to do this politician stuff well, right? He got elected and he just hit the ground running in a way that really encapsulates what he was saying he was going to do before he even got into office. And I love that you spotlighted how gracious he was about, Larry Gossett and all that he has brought to the city and to the county. I just love that you were able to spotlight again these amazing heroes. I've been following up on this, and you have been really, hitting the spectrum from our elders to our young people who are doing it. So again, I just think huge shout out to you, Marcus, for having the insight and the foresight to, again, showcase these hidden heroes.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. It's humbling. It's humbling to be able to do. So hopefully, it carries on forever, and we all write our own little love letters.
That's dope. Well, appreciate you taking the time this morning. Marcus Harden of the South Seattle Emerald. We appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate y'all. Keep doing the great work. I'm going to write about y'all one day. I just can't tell you when. They're surprises.
There we go.
We ready for it.
We
Thank
love
you.
Yes, sir.
Marcus.
Man. We go so way back. I didn't even want to put it out there. I'm just like, as soon as he hits the screen, I got to make it known, because Marcus is a hidden hero himself. Somebody who, again, as he just said there, he was in the Seattle public school system and realized, okay, look, there's some other things that I can be doing to really, affect these young people's lives. And he has been doing it in such an authentic way. I'm so glad that he is here. He was in Atlanta for a while, so I'm just glad to see our brilliance being brought right back here, and great work with the folks over there at South Seattle Emerald.
That's what it is. Make sure you check it out, SouthSeattleEmerald.com. We're going to take a quick merch break. And speaking of merch, we just got read-up. It's the term. We got a re-up going on. So we got lots of great merch that's here and it's ready to ship. You can go to whereweconverge.com/shop. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. So I mentioned this earlier here. David Obelts, you know him as Malcontent Tango. Right? People might know him as the pole cam. Seen him though the other day, man. The poles come down quite a few feet. It's down to earth right now. But man, David is doing a lot of good work as far as covering community stories and things like that. And he actually did an interview with Kendrick Glover of Jim, and Jim is a mentoring program that's out there in Kent, and also Kendrick. Let me read this here. They're doing something, and I'll put it in the link as well, on Channel 9 tonight, KCTS 9. They're having a program, and where is the name? Wellbeings and KCS 9. Oh, there it is. Centering mental health of Black youth. So, I mean, well, it sounds like a very impactful program. Here's a short 3-minute clip right here that Malcontent News sent us where David is interviewing Kendrick Glover.
We're here with Sir Keenan Hart and Kendrick Glover of GEM. They are both going to be participating at a roundtable that'll be on KCTS Channel 9 Thursday at 7 p.m.
GEM started out of a need from the community, from the youth and young adults that we were serving. We started out as an all young men's program, and now over the last 6.5 years, we have grown into serving young men and young women up to the age of 24, focusing on social emotional well-being. A lot of the trauma that our young people face comes from their social and emotional environment. In King County, African American and people of color make up about 7 to 10% of the total population. However, we make up over 45% of the incarcerated population.
You had talked about the type of services that you provide. Could you give me a little bit more detail on that and some examples?
A lot of young people are referred to us through juvenile court, through community agencies, but a lot of our referrals come from schools and school districts. Someone does not have to look like you to advocate for you, but it does help when someone can understand your background a little bit more, because the advocacy, it comes from the heart. It means a little bit more.
Sir, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you came into the GEM program?
In the 6th grade, I think it was, my older cousin Larry, he told me, hey, come to GEM with me today. I was like, what's that? He was like, oh, it's just this little mentoring group that I do. It's really fun. So I came with him, and I was kind of shy a little. I ain't even gonna lie. And like the moment I walked in the door, Kendrick comes over and was like, what's up? How you doing? And I was like, oh, so this is pretty cool. We will work out together, and then we'll go into the classroom. So we do everything like together, just like, oh, if you are a little down, we'll pick you up. And if I'm down today, you help me get picked up. And then like the mentors, if like that wasn't helping, like they'll like be like, you need somebody to talk to, how you doing?
How can somebody support your organization?
We always have needs that are too great to fill. We're a small nonprofit organization with 9 team members. We don't consider ourselves employees because we're a close-knit family, and our young people, when they come in the door, they can see that, they can smell it, they can feel it, they can sense it. So financial support is always one. Also, just getting the word out, just telling people about us, like, hey, it's a group in Kent that works with young people throughout King County and Pierce County. And then just any other type of support in terms of coming down and volunteering your time with our young people. And for those people who are out there who are saying, well, I don't have the training to do this, life has been your training. If you've lived, you've learned, and you can share what you've lived and learned through. So don't hesitate to reach out and say, hey, how can I get involved?
Wow. I mean, what an amazing program. Shout out to Mr. Glover for having the foresight to put something together like that really focuses on the mental health of our youth. And we talk about that a lot here. So just shout out to GEMS. I'm so glad that David was able to actually spotlight them there.
1 or 2 more things before we get out of here. I thought this was a real important one to bring up. Buffalo Soldiers in baseball is buffalosoldierstacoma.org. And this is tonight at 6:30. Let me put this link in here. This is a really dope one. And yeah, voila, there we go. There's the link. And so it talks about the link here, you know, the Buffalo Soldiers stationed in Fort Lawton. We know that maybe we'll tell the Fort Lawton story. A lot of people don't know the Fort Lawton story. Stationed out there at Fort Lawton. And they're going to be talking about tonight, the Buffalo Soldiers that were there. But also, I just want to read this short paragraph. What a lot of people don't know, that of those Buffalo Soldiers that were stationed out at Fort Lawton, less well known than the 9th and 10th Cavalry Regiments, the 29th Infantry Regiment was distinguished by its baseball team, which won several U.S. Army championships and was rated the best non-professional team in the country. In the Army, which was segregated, African Americans could not compete against white athletes, could only compete against white athletes in athletics. The U.S. Army remained segregated until 1948. And so it talks about the story here of the Buffalo Soldiers that were stationed there, Fort Lawton, and the baseball. I'll put this back. You know, I'm a big history buff and I'm a baseball fan. So this is you can go to buffalosoldierstacoma.org, and this is at 6:30 tonight. And it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, once again, parts of our history that many people don't know. And I love being able to utilize the Converge platform to educate our people. So I'm looking forward to us being able to share that Fort Lawton story. Oh, you know, this guy up on his history, he has comments about it all. You got it all up here, my friend. It's great.
I wish I had it all up here. All right. And tomorrow is Feel Good Friday, and we're definitely going to be feeling good. We have Pamela Yasutake joining us tomorrow, choreographer, instructor, performer. You know, Pamela Yasutake brings all that energy and just, man, brilliance about her.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for tomorrow, y'all. I mean, when we talk about these Feel Good Friday stories, we try to talk about them throughout the week as we're covering other days, but I'm excited for tomorrow, man. And Pamela's energy right here on the Converge platform. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Also joining us tomorrow will be DJ Topspin. So Topspin will be back. We've got Pamela Yasutake. We got a few other surprises worked in there. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a good Feel Good Friday tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm ready for it, man. And DJ Topspin brought that great energy last Friday, so I know he's going to bring it again this Friday, man. Every time Top is in the building, my spirits are lifted, so I'm ready.
We need it from the top.
Yeah.
All right. Any last words before we get out of here today?
You know what? There's going to be some great events that I will highlight tomorrow as well. And like I said, man, if you guys are looking for some fashionable finds, man, Positive Vibes is a place to go.
Man, you just outdoing me on set these days. I'm gonna have to come with a new wardrobe next week and keep up with you. So yeah, tonight, 7 o'clock, Clapback Culture with Julia Jesse and Mike Davis. So you definitely want to tune in for that. The links are there in the comments. You might have to scroll up a little bit. But before we get out of here, as usual, I want to remind you to go forward in your purpose and go forward in your humanity. Until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.